this has been a labor of love, not only for me, but when Chief Harper brought the idea to me and said that, you know, the 100th anniversary of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police motorcycle unit is coming up, he says, we have to do something. And so we said, yeah. So we went to the drawing board, and this was the outcome.
This is truly a blessed, joyous day when we can all come together and break bread and enjoy each other's company, because, as I was saying earlier, we go to way too many funerals. The only time we really get together is at one of our fallen brothers or sisters' funerals. So this is a very special occasion, 100 years. We look forward to the next 100 years, to tradition, the road that you all have laid. Really, you were groundbreakers.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Harper said, it's really heartening to see everyone here today. And at last, I'm not the only police officer of white hair in the room. But it is great to see all of you. I never was a wheelman or a cycleman. I did spend about 2 months in traffic, if anyone remembers, when I came out of the academy in 1976. Horace McDaniel was the commander down there, and John McMahon was a lieutenant. And I did have the pleasure of spending a few months in traffic. I worked the corner at Forbes and Grant, and I recall I was too young and dumb to know to get out of the cold. So I sat there and I was assured that someone was watching me out of that city-county building. But thank you. I know most of you in the room, probably all of you in the room, we know each other. And Chief, this was a great idea. I hope we do it again for 105 years or 110 years. And I have to say, we packed the room. We have more people here than we get in an FOP function.
I'm here today as a fan. For almost 30 years, I'm like a kid that goes to a circus. Why do kids go to the circus? They go to the circus to see things, people do things that they can't do. What you all do is something I can't do. The precision, the teamwork. I mean, for 30 years, I've been watching cycle officers, and with so much pride. Watching day by day, watching the officers of today and of yesterday, watching the escorts that they do, all the functions they perform. Again, the precision that who can ride a motorcycle that slow, almost come to a stop and not put the feet down. I know that's something you all take such pride in, and to see it day after day after day. It's sometimes I'm without words, because again I am a fan, and you younger guys like Donnie Page. You really are. I mean, you really are our rock stars on this job, because every kid is a fan of the cycles. They go by, you feel them in your chest. I mean, who else does that? Who else provokes that kind of emotion other than a squad of cycles going down the street? So the challenge to again, you younger guys, when you're out cleaning your bikes and you've got the leather and you got the shades, and you got the boots and you got the chrome. When you're cleaning that stuff, you're not cleaning it for yourself. You're cleaning it for the guys from 1909 that started. You're cleaning you're cleaning it for our officers who died with their boots on, and let's not forget them. You're cleaning those bikes for these guys and yourselves, and most of all, for the fans.
It's an exciting time for us to share some time with you. We respect what you've done in the past, as we respect what our current motorcycle officers are doing today. I think Bill summed it up pretty good. So again, welcome. Enjoy yourself. If there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the chief for putting this together. It's great to see so many familiar faces, and we can tell a lot of stories. Oh, yeah. I was always proud to be a motorcycle police officer. I rode a bike like that at the beginning, but for 8 years. And I still think the motorcycle police is the elite of the Pittsburgh Police Department. They just were the greatest guys. We were so tight. And I enjoyed every day of it, maybe except for the night of the Grateful Dead. But, it was a lot of fun riding with all these guys and flipping the sidecars up in the air, and just all the fun we had. And the funnest time was in the winter, in the snow. We were just like kids on sleds. It's a great job. Like I said, it's the elite of the department. You all should be proud. Thank you. Have a good time today.
This is a real honor to be here celebrating 100 years. This is unbelievable. I wasn't there at the beginning. I was somewhere around, but I wasn't that started. I started riding in 1957, so I've been around motorcycles for quite a long time. The thing that I want to just make it simple and clean. It's just an honor to be here because I see what you guys do with these motorcycles. I have a great team that supports you. We try to do everything we can to make it a very easy machine to ride and very comfortable machine to ride. The new Harleys have just been out. Your new bikes are just absolutely gorgeous. I've had an opportunity to ride them, and they're phenomenal. I have two of my men back here, Kurtz and John Brown. These guys really support the police department. I've worked very hard many years to get the police department up and running and try to do things right. We've had ups and downs with problems, but we've been able to resolve them, and it's been very good. But Harley-Davidson being 100 and some years old, and you guys being 100 years old, it's hard to believe how much time has went by. But I think everybody's very happy with the new bikes. Everybody I've talked to, see they're handling real well, and they're nice motorcycles. But I could talk on for 10 minutes, but she only gave me 3 minutes to talk, so I'm just going to let it drop at that. But I do want to thank you for your business and anything I can do for you in the future is there. I have the Gatto Harley-Davidson in Trenton, and we also have the Three Rivers Harley now, which is a little bit better because we get the machines there a lot easier to do work on and to support you. But thank you for inviting me, and enjoy the next 100 years.
This is like old home week, all the familiar faces, oh my goodness. I'm so glad that the chief thought of this because we always have to remember the people who held us all up. So congratulations on the 100th anniversary. Thank you for being here. And we all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Because you really, Elwood, how you, I mean, it's like old home week. So many faces that I know mentored me and mentored so many of us. Because all the white shirts you see around the room, if it wasn't for you, showing us the way, we would not have made it here. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being a member of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police.
Hi, my name's Rich Polio. Well, I know most of you, some of you I don't. I have an interesting story about the way it used to be when we were on the job. We, of course, I don't know how you guys are, but we, of course, would goof around a little bit here and there. Not much, just a little bit. Well, I made the mistake one night of passing the chief up on the Bloomfield Bridge by about 50 miles an hour. Well, needless to say, he's a very competitive spirit, and he caught up to me, him weighing 100 pounds less than me on the same bike. Well, we got up to there, and I said, did pretty good back there. So we gave it a go down to Heron Avenue. And, of course, he jumped me by about 30 car lengths, and I could never catch up, pulling an extra 100 pounds. So I said, I'll get him down below. We were first in line. We took off again. Well, we went in Bigelow Boulevard, past Curto Park, going down the hill. I'm sure you all know where it's at. Well, I backed off at 90. And I said, I know he's going to back off. He didn't. He went down. I'm sure you know where the bridge goes down and runs around to the Liberty Bridge at across town. He went down that corner. I said, oh, he's going to fly off that bike. He went down and ran that corner, somewhere about 90 miles an hour, and it looked like the 4th of July. the running board ground off, it sparked everywhere, and I can't believe he kept the bike up. But that man there is one hell of a rider, don't you ever forget it.
I went down as a patrolman back in, had to be 80, 81, somewhere around there, 82. 81 to 83. Then I was promoted to sergeant, and I went and worked over here on the north side for 2 years. Then I went back to traffic in 86. No, I don't have the time now. But, yeah. I rode, yeah, from 86 to about 92, 93, somewhere in there. But this here's your damper. It actually dampens the shocks, your front forks there. That Jimmy could tell you about that, but actually when the sidecar would go on, they would tighten it up. You would have your sidecar, and as we have it out there. And this was the machine, you know.
First thing I've got to say, anyone in here recognize a dinosaur? The last word said to me before I retired from the police department was I was useless. I was a dinosaur. I couldn't go on and do anything else. Well, what I did, I joined the Civil Air Patrol and flew with them for 15 years. I just had a quadruple bypass, try to take me away from this thing here. I don't know who prayed for me, but all you guys that were in traffic that I worked with, I came on in 55. So I was a dinosaur. I'm 80 years old, feel good. And I was kind enough to take my son, who graduated from Slippery Rock University, and I didn't want him to follow in my footsteps and become a police officer. He wanted to go in the Air Force, become a flyer. He became a computer science major, some other type of thing. What did he do? He joined the Pittsburgh Police Department. And all you guys in traffic probably know about him because he went through hell to get you those new cycles and this stuff on it. And he did remind you that it's not your cycle, it's the city cycle. And he came home and he told me, he says, "Dad, how can you tell somebody that?" I said, "You just tell them. And if they're with you, they'll do it. No names on the back, no streamers running off your heated handle grips and stuff like that." And I know what some of these guys would do, because I didn't ride a solo wheel. I started off in a survey car. Then I drove one of the weird shift Harleys. Yeah. And I know I took that thing through the Liberty Tunnel sometimes 50, 60 miles an hour. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I took the sergeant's test and I left traffic, went to number 5 station as a sergeant there. And pretty soon all my luck started to change to my benefit. And I finally got up to the point of commander and the privilege of returning to traffic division in the 1970s, and I became the commander. And I tried to initiate the program of bringing on some of the first females. And I had a lot of problems with some of my officers. Isn't that right, Spitz? They did not want to see these girls riding cycles or doing anything like that. We had one in particular, I'm gonna cut this short. She had a problem with the sergeant because she was too tall in her mind, but she was too short in practicality. First place they put her to work to traffic was on the other side of the Smithfield Street Bridge. Her last name was Flatteau. Very small woman. She couldn't see over the cars, and the cars couldn't see under her. And we had to get the message across to the one person who wanted to ride her off the job. She's here. She's going to stay here. All the women that are here now are going to stay here. And at that particular time, nobody wanted women. I didn't want them either. But the law was they were here. I did everything else to protect them, giving up my bathroom and traffic division. And that's about all I can say. I'm just thinking about all of the things that I remember about some of you guys, and some of the nice things you did, and also some of the bad things you did. But one's appreciated, the other is forgotten. Okay?
Our family goes back, like Diane said, pretty far in police work and traffic division. My grandfather was in traffic division back in 1928, and he always told my dad, never grow up to be a policeman. And well, he didn't listen, and neither did me and Tom. So I remember being a young boy, I look out the door and watch my dad come home or leave on that police bike, and I said, someday I'm going to do that. And I just kept it in my mind all my life. And so eventually I go in the police department, and I ended up on a police bike in 1971. And I just can't convey the pride in being a police officer, plus, being a motorcycle officer. And my grandfather got killed in 1935 as a traffic officer in front of the P&LE station on the Smithfield Street Bridge. And later on, when the boss would send me over there directing traffic on a Friday night, I just couldn't believe I was in that same spot where my grandfather had got killed. And I hope I did him proud. And my dad, he rode a wheel for 16 years out of his career, and I rode 16 out of mine, and Tom did 18 straight on one. And I used to ride January night sometime on the north side, thinking, what the hell am I doing on this thing? It's like 30 below zero with the wind. Yeah. But you just kept thinking, this is what it's all about, and this is what I wanted to be. And there's many stories. I see some of the guys I started with here, Eddie Horton, Tom Mellick, Harold Kochik, and some of the other fellows here. We could tell you a lot of stories, and today you'd probably go to jail for the stuff we did. But we all had a good time, and they were also proud to be motorcycle officers, as I am. And I just so glad to be here with all you fellows and ladies that was in traffic, and hope we have a nice day together. Thank you. 63, I'm in front of the city garage out there. Now let me leave. I can make a job at 69. I had 31 years. Cycle shop.
That's probably it there. Boy, I'll tell you.
We have with us today Jimmy Craig. Jimmy is the person who has collected so much memorabilia over the years of our motorcycle officers that it's just phenomenal, the amount of just treasures that are collected here. Jimmy, talk to us a little bit and tell us what we have here, how you came to do all of this, and I know that you've been a big part of keeping the motorcycles on the road.
Well, my love for motorcycles and as a kid seeing the police motorcycles around, I always enjoyed it, and then when I got to work on them, this kind of just happened. I started collecting police motorcycle memorabilia, models, toys, anything that was police motorcycle related. And then I got a picture of a Pittsburgh police motorcycle, and it was like, wow, I've got to collect nothing but Pittsburgh police memorabilia. And then it skyrocketed from there. And I'm, to this day, still looking for any kind of memorabilia that I can find, because I guess once you get the bug,
You've got the bug.
that's right. And then being honored to work on those bikes for 25 years, I mean, it's like, I'm going to keep this legend alive probably as long as I'm alive. There'll be a game room. My game room will have all this stuff on display. And I've got other stuff. So I got awards that I was given as I worked on the bikes, and magazine articles that I have that geez, I can't
It just
believe.
goes on and on.
Yeah, it's amazing that this snowballed, all for a love of motorcycles and a love for police motorcycles and the job and the respect that I've learned for these guys. It's the incredible job that they've done, the community-oriented policing, the Minutemen who are there in a split second. You know, they're just such a value to the city of Pittsburgh, you know, and it's great that they're honoring them. And I'm glad that I'm here being part of honoring the guys that are my family.
Well, we thank you so much for sharing all of this wonderful information, all of these pictures, all of this history that is sitting here before us, helmets, motorcycle jackets, the mitts that they wore, the hats, the white hats that they wore back in the day before they wore the helmet. I mean, it's just a wonderful display of just history. And we thank you so much for being that person who put it all together for us.
No, thank you for letting me share in this. I appreciate it.
Okay, when I come on in 1963, we were riding the old red 1960s. They had the Kickstarters. In the wintertime, it wasn't unusual to see some policeman outside with a bunch of paper lit on fire underneath the crankcase because the oil would freeze up so bad. Well, as I said, we had the old Kickstarters, and a lot of times that Kickstarter would kick back and you end up with bruised knees and fractures and all that stuff. They didn't have any radios on the bikes then. We had to call in every hour. You had to make a pool, and we didn't use call boxes because you had to call in the traffic division. So you had to know where you had to either go to the police station or you had to go to one of the divisions where they were working at to make your pool every hour. Then if they had some place they wanted to take you, move you to, then they told you. So you can imagine what kind of jumble come out of that at times. There were no radios, as I said, there were no radios on the bikes. So when the handy talkies come out, they let you go to the station where you were working out of and borrow one for the shift because they were on 3 different bands. So if you were in Northside, you'd go to old number 9, they'd give you a radio. If you were in number 2's district, they'd go give you them there. When they finally got the radios for the bikes, they were all big 1 units, and they stuck them behind the handlebars, which made the front of the bike top heavy. So, I mean, that was no bargain either. Also, during the 60s and 70s, the only tactical unit you had in the police department were the traffic division. I mean, the guys on the cycles were ready to go. I mean, they were mobile, plus they had the helmets. So if there was a problem someplace, the first ones they sent were the cycles. When they had the strike in time at the department stores, and there was a lot of problems, that's the only people they had to send. They sent the motorcycles down to handle it. Then during the 80s and 90s, we got administrations in that figured, well, these guys don't do nothing. So we might as well do away with them. Well, first of all, I think they got a little bit of a word, like the federal government required them to have some kind of a traffic division
on the books in order to get some federal highway money. So they kept them on as a, you know, like an evil that we got to put up with. But then they started wheedling them down, and they took everybody out of traffic except for some motorcycles. And even then, we didn't have too many. So now, I mean, you look at this equipment out here now. I mean, this is probably the best police motorcycles that you can get. You know, I mean, the city didn't spare any expense here. I mean, and I'll tell you one thing now, if there was anybody else in here as chief, besides Chief Harper, you'd never see this, never. I mean, there's nobody that appreciates him like he does. Thanks, guys.
Very pleased to see so many guys here. It's just really great. And it reminds me of the great tradition and the work that you guys have done in the past that brought me where we are today. The early days when we started out with VASCAR was a new thing. We're still using it today, the stopwatches. As we progress, in all the work that we do today, it's a reflection of what this generation, one of the greatest generation of motor officers, has started. And it's been very successful. The work we've done with drunk drivers, school zones, the speeding in different neighborhoods, it's all directly related to the initial startups, guys like Bart Scala, guys getting the lines out on the street, writing those tickets. It really had a lot to do with what the generations in the past had started for us and equipment that they had gotten for us. When you come on this job, they tell you that this is such an opportunity that you have a front row seat to the greatest show on earth. And nothing is more true, except you have to believe when you're on that motorcycle that you're way past that front row seat and you are in the VIP box. It is the greatest job, and it has only been made that way for the generation before us. And truly you guys have been a true great generation of officers. What we do today is a lot different. You can see that the cycles that we have, there's not kick-starts or suicide shifts. They start electronically. Computers run everything. You never change a spark plug. You're not drying your spark plug out in the middle of 51 trying to get it going so you can get home some night. They're beautiful pieces of equipment. And Tom was so right when he said we owe so much of that to Chief Harper to get this kind of equipment. It is truly the best equipment of any police department anywhere in the country. No one has motorcycles so well equipped and so beautiful. If you've looked at that paint scheme and the remarks that we get from people on the street, it really is incredible. As for the generation that passed, I just had a couple stories that made it easy for guys like me. When I started in '86 on a cycle, we worked hard. That afternoon shift, you went from corner to corner, from ball game to hockey game. You were beat by the time you got home. It was a rough day to put in. Well, today we don't direct traffic. You know, we got a few break corners. It's just a handful of guys. Things are automated. Grant Street, the Boulevard of the Allies. We have an AM rush. I think we towed one car in 2 weeks. People don't park there. Things have really changed over the years. You'd be surprised to see how it's developed. But it's give us time to move into the other parts. The DUIs. We have probably the best accident investigation unit anywhere in the country. We have a truck safety unit that your generation started, that truck safety unit. The commercial vehicle enforcement is second to none. We got trucks, we're stopping everywhere, with really making the streets safe. Everybody knows if they've ever been to some of the truck accidents. I know some of you guys have. The one that came into town from Parkway. A lot of bad accidents have happened. But on with your tradition. The police department, like the fire department, is laced in tradition. And some of the greatest things that we do is due to your credit. And many times it's a mild evening, and there's so many motorcycle enthusiasts that go, how do you ride when it's this cold? I go, cold? God, you should see it in January. We ride every day. And it's raining, you can't go out today. Do you go to the station and get a car? There's no cars at the station for us. We just keep going. We throw together whatever we have in the saddlebag to keep out there. And that truly is a tradition, whether it makes sense or not, that we carry on. And we're willing to fight over. But guys would come to us, and it's probably one of the greatest stories. We had President Bush down at the William Penn Hotel, and it just starts to rain. And not only is it raining, it's sleeting, it could be ice. And a Secret Service came up with a detail in the state police. You know, I love the state police, and they're beautiful. He must have been a major. And he comes strutting over, you know, there's no fat on these guys, and they're all business, but there's no grease under their fingernails. And he says, I'm pulling my guys off this detail. We're not going to the airport. And we looked, and their officers were obviously, you know, a little perturbed. You're not going to the airport. You have to drive to the airport to get back to your station. Nope, I'm shutting them down. I'm not putting my guys out in the rain. And a Secret Service guy come over and with another liaison, and he says, what about the Pittsburgh guys? You know, the president has to get out to the airport. He says, well, will they take us? He says, I have seen no weather, no condition that had ever stopped a Pittsburgh police officer from getting out to the airport. That's it. Thank you.
The next person that I'm going to bring up, this gentleman is a officer from yesterday, and he's transitioned to today, and it is none other than Donnie Page.
Guy back there calls me old dude. I'll tell you what, it's been a long 23 years for me. When I came into traffic in 1986, in June 1986, I met a lot of you guys sitting here, and I felt like a rookie, not knowing anything. But we work with a unit that no matter what the supervisor gives you, we can go out in the street without the supervisor and get our jobs done because we all work well together. We know what each other's going to do, we got each other's back. This equipment we ride, I believe this is my third model of motorcycle since I've been in traffic. And when the late Chief Muggsy Moore assigned me to traffic, that's what I thought I was going to be riding. And I was scared like I don't know what about that tank shift. And I thought I knew everything, but when I seen that, it scared the life out of me. But when that FXRP come out with a brand new one, it was like downtown. Give it a new toy. I enjoy what I do today. I enjoy the people I work with. I work with young guys, I work with the older guys. And nothing is changing. Our traffic division is still progressing right on along. To help with Chief Harper, keeping our equipment going, Chief Barker, Commander Trotsky, has a lot of input on that because he's an ex-traffic man. We're going to keep on going. I got 2 more years, God willing. Then I'll retire, and I'll be sitting out there with you guys. It won't be 100 years from now. But they get something like this together again, I'll probably be sitting out there with you guys. Thank you, guys.
Just want to say good morning to everybody, and it's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks to everybody that had a part in making this happen. It's truly a pleasure to be here. I was asked to come up here and talk a little bit about training. I look around, and I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty much intimidated. A whole bunch of knowledge here. I don't know how much more I can add to that. I've been in traffic for 15 years. A lot has changed just in that short time. The equipment is different. I started, Sergeant Duvall talked about the FXRP as well as I think Donnie Page did. That's what I started on. It's migrated to a much better machine than that, and I thought back then that was the thing. It was a really nice motorcycle, but now we're riding these electric glides out here. I heard mention of the heated hand grips. We have heated hand grips. I'm not ashamed. But we do ride all year. We're out there in all kind of different weather and elements, as Sergeant Duvall talked about. I think we all take pride in that. And that's one of the things I wanted to say was, you know, they asked me to talk about this training and everything. And again, I look around here and I'm not sure how much I can tell you guys. There's a great wealth of knowledge in this crowd, and I'm just proud to be here. However, I will talk a little bit about what I've had the privilege to do, and that's back in, I think it was 2002, with the retirement of our trainer then, Ronnie Sermonera. Myself and Officer Sean Pindell had the privilege of going down to IPTM, North Florida, and take a 2-week instructor's course. Well, Going down there, I thought I knew pretty much what I needed to know. I quickly found out I didn't, and after the 2 weeks, I was pretty humbled. But the good part about that was I was able to bring that knowledge back here to our guys, and we had some opposition to it at first. I won't name names, Donnie. Where'd he go?
By the door.
There he is. But I got to say, Donnie Page probably worked the hardest with maybe the exception of Sammy Dornan in coming along, and those two guys became one heck of a good riders, and they're out there every day doing that. Sammy's since retired, but Donnie's still out there doing it. But just a little bit about the training. We have 2 weeks of a very rigorous, challenging training course that we must go through. There's a pre-test prior to even being admitted to that course. You learn a whole bunch of techniques for slow riding, control of that motorcycle, and that's what it's about, as well as high-speed, evasive maneuvers, and braking exercises. One of the things that we're doing now that I don't believe was done in the past was a lot of tactical use of that motorcycle, how you can use that motorcycle for cover if you get yourself in a predicament where you're out in the street and you have nothing to hide behind. That motorcycle will offer you a great deal of protection. That's what we're teaching our guys. We're doing live fire from the motorcycles at their firing range. And unfortunately, some of the stuff that we're doing and the equipment we're using today has been brought about by our society. I don't know, I mean, I've been on this job 17 years, and every day now it seems like we're involved in some sort of firearms call where someone's being shot at or we're returning fire. So it's important for us guys on motorcycles out there to be safe, and that's what we try to get to our guys. The slow portion, the slow riding techniques that we use, every year we have 4th of July regattas. Unfortunately, we just had a very big tragedy in the city, as you all know, with the Stanton Heights incident. A lot of dignitary escorts. That's where that stuff comes in play, where you got to get that motorcycle from point A to point B at half a mile an hour. Anybody can ride that motorcycle at 90 mile an hour in a straight line. Try doing it at half a mile an hour from here to there when you got a billion things in your way. That's what we're teaching. We have some events coming up where we're going to be doing a lot of dignitary escorts, and I think our guys are well prepared for that. I'm proud to work in this unit, proud to work with all these guys, and I hope to be here for as long as they'll let me be. Thank you.
Oh, the clutch.
No clutch.
It's like a West Coast motorcycle.